Before there was the 24/7 championship that you currently see going around in the WWE, there was another championship that was contested under 24/7 rules, and that was the Hardcore Championship. Although it was only active in the WWE from 1998 to 2002, with the 24/7 rule only coming into effect halfway through the title's existence, the title and the 24/7 madness that came with it was enjoyed by fans so much that the championship and the 24/7 rule managed to make its way into WWE games storylines, with games like No Mercy, the Smackdown series, and even Smackdown Raw 2008 having 24/7 moments and storylines. And I know the question is going to be, will we get these moments and storylines in WWE 2K20? And the answer to that is no. Anyway, until 2K21 releases, here's a look back at all of the 24/7 moments that happen in WWE games. Now Just Bring It had a unique story mode in that you could form your own short story with the choices you make, along with who you interact with in the mode's open free roam area. There's one specific moment in the story where you can refuse to show up on the stage when a contender for the world title calls you out to fight in for the #1 contender spot. If you do choose to not show up on the stage, you'll automatically be dropped from world title contention and find yourself in the backstage area to free roam around to pretty much find a new storyline to take part in. It's at this point you can find referee Earl Hebner. If you get into a conversation with Earl, you can ask him how he's doing, like the polite superstar that you are. This leads to a hardcore title match taking place in the locker room with devastating weapons at your fingertips to use, such as chairs, a mop, and is that a watermelon? I mean, well, I guess that could hurt too. After battling it out with such insightful commentary in the background.
Everyone hates Rhino!
Anyway, once you've won this match, you become the new Hardcore Champion. You see the former champion backstage after the vicious attack by Edge. I think maybe he took one too many watermelon shots. Smackdown vs. Raw 2008 took a very different approach with its season mode that year, by calling it 24/7 mode, not in any relation to the 24/7 rule, but rather that you would pretty much live the life of a WWE superstar 24/7. You had to battle through injuries, keep on winning to earn pay rises, and as it is called 24/7 mode, you was able to choose what to do on each day of the calendar. You could use the time to train and boost your stats, invade another show if there was another show on that day, or choose many of the different available events, like shooting a movie, doing an autograph signing, and going on a date. Sticking with Smackdown vs. Raw 2008's 24/7 mode and the heavy influence of ECW in this game, there was a storyline within the mode where your character would talk bad about ECW and then you'll be confronted by the ECW roster after a match.
What is ECW's representative doing here?
With Mr. McMahon's blessing, I'm giving you the chance to put your money where your mouth is by awarding you the newly reinstated Hardcore Championship. If you can hold this championship for a month, I'll concede that you're as hardcore as ECW has ever been. The only catch is, it must be defended 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, under extreme rules, starting now.
So now it's your superstar's job to defend the reinstated Hardcore Championship under 24/7 rules to prove to ECW that you are as hardcore as you say you are. The 24/7 rule would come into effect right after one of your matches, with an unwinnable hardcore title match defense taking place.
He did it! As a former hardcore champion, I'm glad the titles were at the waist of a SmackDown superstar. This is disgusting. I know the hardcore championship has to be defended 24/7, but this is too much. This makes me sick, Michael Cole. Talk about a robbery. I know how you feel, JBL, but with Mr. McMahon back in ECW, I don't know what anybody can do about it.
Yeah, nothing says hardcore, extreme wrestling more than Bobby Lashley. Anyway, you get a rematch for the title at the next pay-per-view, win that match, regain the title, and then the title is pretty much completely wiped from existence and literally never mentioned ever again. So let's sum that storyline up. ECW wants to prove that your superstar couldn't hang in ECW by reactivating an old WWE championship that was then won by Bobby Lashley, who is about the least ECW hardcore style wrestler in existence. And then you win it back 2 weeks later, the title never mentioned ever again. It just vanishes. I love WWE games, but this storyline gets a big no from me. Fortunately, the writing and the storylines would improve so much more in the next WWE games with Road to WrestleMania mode. Smackdown Here Comes the Pain also featured the Hardcore title in its season mode with the 24/7 rule. Here Comes the Pain released in late 2003 and the Hardcore title was deactivated in mid 2002, making that a pretty surprising appearance as it's rare to see such an outdated title featured in season modes. The only real 24/7 aspect of the title's appearance in Here Comes the Pain is that if you are the Hardcore champion, you might get attacked backstage after a show for an impromptu Hardcore title match by a random superstar. It's not as exciting or interesting as the previous entries, but still it is one of the rare 24/7 moments to have ever been in a WWE game. This would also be the last time the Hardcore title makes an appearance in a WWE game season mode until the previously mentioned SmackDown vs. Raw 2008. No Mercy was the first WWE game to ever have 24/7 storylines and moments, with its championship mode having a Hardcore title path. In the Hardcore title path, you can actually relive the moment of the Hardcore Championship being changed to a title that is defended under 24/7 rules. Mr. McMahon will go to the ring and announce a 24/7 rule change to bring excitement to the championship. Keep on winning these matches and you'll keep on getting attacked backstage. That is until you reach one chapter in the game where you'll have an encounter with the APA, who offer to protect you from the backstage attacks. And no, this isn't just a nice gesture from them. They want you to cough up $1,000, which is quite a high amount in this game's currency. There are also consequences for choosing to not take their offer. If you don't choose to take the offer, you will have to fight them both in a handicap backstage brawl. So it's either pay up a pretty hefty amount of money to get the protection from the attacks, or you get put into a handicap match that is pretty hard to actually win. It's fair to say that WWE games back then were not as forgiving as they are now. This is also just one example of the many different 24/7 paths that can be taken in No Mercy's championship mode, as it can all change depending on wins and losses. There's also two other examples that I want to briefly go over as honourable mentions. In Smackdown 2 season mode, there are random cutscenes where the 24/7 rule for the Hardcore title is mentioned, and there's also another cutscene of a random superstar looking for the Hardcore champion backstage. These are pretty rare cutscenes to get in the game, so it was hard to include them in this video, which is why I only briefly mentioned it. And the last example of a 24/7 moment actually comes from an old match type that was called the Hardcore Time Limit match. In this match you could battle all over the arena and even outside the arena, trying to pin whoever was the Hardcore champion at the time. After the time limit is up, the person who got the last victory would then become the Hardcore champion. It was the perfect match type to replicate the 24/7 madness of the Hardcore championship. So that is the 5 24/7 moments that have appeared in WWE games. Although I'm pretty sure there's not any other examples of 24/7 storylines or moments in WWE games, do let me know in the comments if there are any others that I might have missed. And as always, please make sure to subscribe if you've not done so already. Like the video if you enjoyed it, and I'll see you all on the next video.